Welcome to today's video. If you're earning more than ever but still feel broke, you're not alone. Many first-time high earners move to expensive cities, lock in high rent, and unknowingly trap themselves. In this episode, we'll expose why high rent is the stealth wealth killer, then step by step, build a plan to fix it. Along the way, we will cover the key ratios that define stability, show realistic scenarios, and end with an action plan you can start tonight. Let's begin. First, let's uncover the illusion of stability. A high salary can feel secure, but if rent consumes around half of your take-home pay, you're financially fragile. That leaves little room for savings, investing, or emergencies. The result is ongoing stress and no buffer for life surprises. Consequently, high rent turns progress into a slow bleed. Let's clarify the plan to break free. Next, here's our roadmap. We'll diagnose the 50% rent problem, define the critical financial ratios, build a real emergency fund, cut housing costs, and still capture employer match. Then, we'll compare scenarios, take 2 short quizzes, and finish with a practical checklist so you can act immediately. Now let's visualize the problem. If half of your take-home pay goes to rent, the remaining half must cover food, utilities, transport, and everything else. Typically, this leaves only a small fraction available for savings or investing. As a result, unexpected costs push you into credit card use rather than drawing from a buffer. Appearance-wise, the lifestyle looks comfortable, but financially, progress slows to a crawl. That is the core trap. Moving on, let's define the metrics that actually matter. First, your housing ratio, calculated as rent divided by take-home pay. A healthy target is 30% or less. Next, your savings rate, which is savings divided by take-home pay. A goal of 20% or more accelerates progress. Then, your runway, which is emergency fund balance divided by monthly expenses. Aim for 3 to 6 months. Finally, watch debt-to-income ratios to keep obligations manageable. Use the formulas provided to calculate your current status and identify the exact constraint. Next, establish a real emergency fund. Place your cash in a high-yield savings account for safety and some interest. Automate transfers on payday to ensure consistency. Your target is 3 to 6 months of expenses. To accelerate, temporarily reduce discretionary spending, sell unused items, and direct any windfalls or bonuses into the fund. The Gantt-style plan shows how to cut costs, boost income, and automate savings over the next 90 days. Meanwhile, reduce your housing burden. The fastest win is adding a roommate to split rent and utilities. Alternatively, relocate to a more affordable neighborhood along a reliable transit line. When renewing, negotiate for a longer lease, or consider prepaying a portion for a discount if it is safe and reasonable. Downsizing or selecting older, well-maintained buildings can improve affordability. Above all, enforce a 30% cap on rent relative to take-home pay. Now prioritize investing enough to capture your full employer match. This is effectively part of your compensation. Direct contributions into low-cost, diversified index funds if available. Even while you are building your emergency fund, maintain at least the level needed to earn the full match. Then, as housing costs come down, increase your contributions to accelerate compounding. Let's compare 2 paths. On the left, a high-rent lifestyle consumes about half of your take-home pay, leaving minimal savings and pushing you toward credit cards during emergencies, which elevates stress. On the right, lean living keeps rent near 30%, enabling substantial monthly savings, building a cash buffer, and allowing compounding to start early. The second path reliably leads to freedom faster. Here are illustrative monthly scenarios, assuming a $4,000 take-home pay for simplicity. In scenario A, with $2,000 rent, you save around $200 per month and have roughly 1.9 months of runway if your emergency fund is $7,100. In scenario B, adding a roommate reduces rent to $1,200, raising savings to about $1,100 and runway to about 2.4 months. In scenario C, relocating drives rent to $1,000, boosting savings to about $1,400 and runway to about 2.9 months. These figures are examples. Taxes, withholdings, and costs vary by location and benefits. Adjust the numbers using your actual take-home and expenses. Quick quiz time. What's a prudent upper limit for housing cost as a percentage of take-home pay to maintain stability? Option A, 30%. Option B, 50%. Option C, 70%. Option D, whatever the landlord asks. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is 30%. Capping housing costs around this level protects your savings rate, reduces risk, and creates space for building your emergency fund and investing. Second quiz. If your monthly expenses are $3,000, what is a 3 to 6 month emergency fund target? Option A, $3,000 to $6,000. Option B, $6,000 to $9,000. Option C, $9,000 to $18,000. Option D, $30,000 to $60,000. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is $9,000 to $18,000. You multiply monthly expenses by 3 to 6 months to set a practical and resilient target for your emergency fund. This mind map organizes the main levers you can pull. At the center is financial freedom. One branch focuses on reducing housing costs through a roommate, relocation, negotiation, or downsizing. Another branch centers on increasing income via overtime, side gigs, or upgrading skills. A third branch covers controlling lifestyle through budgeting, canceling subscriptions, and cooking at home. The fourth branch is automating savings into a high-yield savings account with paycheck auto transfers. The final branch highlights investing early, prioritizing employer match, and using low-cost index funds or tax-advantaged accounts like a Roth IRA. Together, these levers compound your progress. Let's crystallize this. First, income alone does not guarantee security. Your ratios do. Second, rent significantly above 30% of take-home undermines savings. Third, build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund before expanding lifestyle. Fourth, always capture employer matching contributions. Finally, cutting rent quickly frees up cash flow to invest and benefit from compounding. To close the loop, here's a 1-week action plan. Today, calculate your housing ratio, savings rate, and runway. Tomorrow, open a high-yield savings account and automate transfers. On days 3 and 4, explore lower-cost housing options and interview potential roommates. On day 5, negotiate your renewal or issue notice if relocation is required. On day 6, ensure you are contributing enough to capture your full employer match. On day 7, cut unnecessary expenses, sell unused items, and review your progress. Before we finish, a quick disclaimer. This content is for educational purposes and does not constitute financial advice. Everyone's situation is different, so consult a qualified professional for guidance. The dollar amounts and percentages used here are illustrative and will vary based on your location, taxes, and benefit elections. As we wrap up, remember these next steps. Keep rent at or below 30% of take-home pay. Build a 3 to 6 month emergency fund as quickly as feasible. Always capture the employer match. And then increase contributions as your housing costs fall. Use automation and the 7-day plan to build momentum immediately. Thank you for watching. If this video helped, please like, share, and subscribe. In the comments, share your city and rent ratio so the community can help each other find better options. See you in the next one.